This just became my favorite song. I used to love Heroes. That's on one of their CDs. Actually, they've got some CDs back in the Ministry Village. You might want to check that out, but I think this song just took the place of Heroes. Welcome, wow. I'm Mike Sipe. I'm part of the leadership team of the High Desert Men's Summit. We've been praying about you for a lot of months. I can't tell you how excited we are to see you here and excited about this night. We're going to have a wonderful night of worship and praise and prayer. You're going to hear from some of the finest Christian artists in our community. But before we do that, could I have all the pastors and their spouses stand, please? Would you just stand? If you're a pastor or a spouse of a pastor in our town, would you stand, please? Let's just give them a hand. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for standing in the gap. Thank you for all the work that you do. Yeah. Well, yesterday God changed my plans around. Has that ever happened to anybody? See, early this week it became pretty clear that I was not helping the leadership team of the Men's Summit, and it was suggested that perhaps I stop helping and go have a day away with God. And so I thought that was a great idea for yesterday, and I decided I'd go fishing because I love to fish. And so yesterday morning I was packing up my truck to go fishing, and I got one of those taps on the shoulder. Said, "Hey, Mike, I don't want you to go fishing today. I want you to climb South Sister." I said, "Oh, come on, God, I am exhausted. I do not want to climb that mountain." He said, "Michael, I want you to climb South Sister. And I want you to pray over our community. I want you to pray over the people of Central Oregon." So at about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I stood at 10,358 feet. Yeah. Let me tell you, that's a long cast. And I prayed for you. And I prayed for our community. I prayed for unity. I prayed for breakthrough. I prayed for favor. I prayed for a blessing. I prayed for transformation. And you know what I believe? I don't believe that God is going to leave those prayers unanswered. I don't believe He caused me to trek up that hill not to answer those prayers. So I believe we're going to see a blessing and an amazing transformation in our community, and it starts right here tonight. So in the 8 hours I spent with the Lord yesterday, hiking up and down that mountain, He gave me quite a few messages. I'm going to share just a couple of them with you tonight because they may not be for all of you, but there's some of them for someone in this room. It started as I was hiking down the trail, and He pointed out a pile of rocks to me. He said, "I want you to pick those rocks up and put them in your pack." Now, that didn't look like a real attractive option given where I was headed. But I picked up a bunch of rocks and I put them in my pack, and I began to walk down the trail. One of the things I noticed about the rocks was that although they looked pretty big, they weren't really all that heavy. Because the rocks He directed me to were called pumice. And so the message He gave me that I want to give to someone in this room tonight, He said, "Mike, your burdens, your troubles are not as heavy as you think they are." He says they're filled with air, they're filled with lies. There's only one rock. I am who I am. So I walked down the trail, and after a little bit, He said, "Take one of those rocks out of your pack." He said, "Give it a name." So the first rock, I ended up naming fatigue. Yeah, this was the beginning of the hike, and I was already wiped out. But he said, you set that rock down by the side of the trail, and I want to lift your exhaustion. I want to lift your fatigue. And that's a message he has for you tonight, because I know that some of you are flat out exhausted tonight. Maybe it's because you're a single mom or a single dad, or you're taking care of elderly parents, or maybe you're just flat out working so hard, 2 jobs or whatever, to make ends meet that it was all you could do to get here tonight. But I want you to know the Lord wants you to lay that burden down tonight. He wants to lift you up. He wants to raise you up like you're on wings of eagles tonight, and he wants to re-equip you to leave and to do his work with a new spirit. So I walked on down the trail, and every once in a while I'd say, take out another rock, give it another name. And so we worked through frustration, we worked through fear, we worked through failure, we worked through finances and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I got to the base where the scree starts, where it really starts to get steep, and I still had a whole bunch of rocks in my pack. And he said, just go ahead and take them all out. Just lay all those burdens down right here at the base of the mountain. Because, son, I want you to climb free. And he wants that for all of us here tonight. He wants you to lay your burdens down right now. Just set them down. Let him take care of them, because he wants us to climb free tonight. So I started up the mountain, and about a third of the way up, it was pretty hot, and I didn't have enough water, and I got really dehydrated, and my legs all cramped up. You know what Charlie horses are? I must have had 1,000 of them, and my legs were so locked up, and I was in so much pain. I didn't want to go any further. I didn't want to climb the mountain. I wanted to quit. And he gave me a message, and there's somebody in this room right now. I don't know who it is, but you know who it is. There's somebody that I'm supposed to tell you. You know, you're in so much pain right now that you don't think you can take another step. In fact, I think there's someone in this room that made a choice to come here rather than take their own life. And the message he has for you is that he loves you. He says, I'll never leave you or forsake you. He says, I'll never give you any more than you can handle. And what he told me on that mountain is the message he has for you, whoever you are. He said, you don't have to climb the mountain all at once, Mike. All I want you to do is just take another step. Just take one more step, and I'll be with you. And that's the message he has for you. One more step. Just one more step. So I got 2 other words for the men from the top of the mountain. The first one, God said, Mike, make sure you say it with love. Let him feel my love. Let him feel my compassion, my invitation. See, there's some of you guys who have a permission slip from the Lord not to come tomorrow. And that's okay. But if you don't have specific permission from God not to join us at the summit, he wants you to change your plans. Just like he told me I needed to change my plans, that I wasn't going to go fishing, that I was going to climb a mountain, I was going to go to a summit. He wants you to change the plans of your sons. He wants you to change the plans of your friends. He wants you to change your plans, and he wants you to join us, because God's plans are way bigger than our plans. Yeah, and we got to make them a priority. Because, see, guys, here's what the summit's all about. Our job is to unify our community, to bless our pastors, support our churches, and it's to encourage and raise up and send out men who will get up, get out, get going, and get on with what God has for us to do. That's right. Because what we want for every man in Central Oregon, every single man in Central Oregon, we want him to have an opportunity at the end of his life to stand before God and hear those words that every one of us wants to hear. You know what those words are, right? Yeah, well done. Well done, good and faithful servant. May those words be said